Everybody, we're going to start a little pre-show today. Get this going. Some big fights over the weekend. A lot of fun. If you're a big fight fan, Friday, fights on Saturday. Doesn't leave much of a weekend for you. But if you're a fight fan, you're feeling it, right? You're happy. So we got a lot to talk about, including things that went on before the fights even happened. I mean, maybe we jinxed it. We did say, hey, there's no way Ian McCall's fighting for sure. And sure enough, Ian McCall could not fight. So we'll get into that. We'll get into the card itself. Give our stun gun stories today. And then talk about all the fights that were announced during the card. So a lot going on there with the UFC. Not any huge fights or anything like that, but some pretty good ones. I think the one that stood out the most was Rose and the Karate Hottie. That's a great matchup. I have no idea how that fight's going to end up, but I can almost promise you I think that thing's going 5 rounds. And it'll probably be a war. You guys can call in today. Get in that queue already, because we're also going to have 3 guests with us. We will have Cub Swanson on. He just got announced as one of the main events. He's going to be fighting Artem Lobov and then Jared Brooks. He'll be back on, and he's probably going to go over the events of what happened there with Ian McCall. Dustin Poirier will also join us. He had a good fight. Probably, I would say it was the best fight of the night. It was a good fight with Jim Miller. And he was this close to maybe not even being able to finish that fight because of a leg injury. It's pretty brutal, but he was on adrenaline. When you got the adrenaline pumping through your body, you can do whatever you want, basically. So we got a couple minutes here to go before we start the show. No Danny today. Well, kind of. Danny's in the background today. The producer is Victoria. Victoria, you're there, right?
I'm here. Yep.
So our video audience, they can hear you right now. So
Hey guys.
you can't say all that stuff you were saying earlier about crafting and stuff.
Got it.
Cricket, right?
Yeah, that's it.
If you guys don't know all about cricket and crafting, get on that. It's about as far as I know. I'm going to Google it right now, though, because I'm kind of curious to know what that actually is. George, you're already eating a mint? How bad could your breath gotten between when you brushed it about... Oh. All right. Gorgeous George in the background making a coffee, I think. Looking up at the big screen right now. They're going over basketball. Yeah, I'll take one. Thank you. George and I have this thing where we don't hand stuff to each other. We just throw it at each other. And one of those days it's going to go bad, but it hasn't yet. I'm trying to think, what's... Have we ever thrown something at each other and dropped it and then been really bad?
What?
Been really bad, like broken a remote control or something? I don't think so, right?
Nothing I can remember.
I remember as a kid I had to take a blame for George throwing a Nerf football at one of my mom's little antique statues.
How much time?
30.
30 seconds. And it busted. Yeah, I had to take the blame for it. And I think in return he offered a trip to Toys R Us or some shit like that. All right, guys.
Here we go.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
All right, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio Revolution.
Can you dig it?
Here's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, this is the MMAjunkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our co-host. Wow, I went old school there.
Yeah.
You threw me off because I heard you say Danny's not here. But he's off in the background. Victoria's producing today's show. Danny is her co-pilot. There you go. They're back east.
He's Goose. She's Maverick.
Yep. She's the one controlling the plane. All right, welcome to another edition of MMAjunkie Radio as we close in on our 2500 show sometime this summer. We're getting close to 2400, Goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're almost there. We're working on it.
Quite a journey, yep. And I'll tell you what, most of the time I can walk in here and say, we've seen it all in the sport. Seen it all or been through it all. We're also closing in on our 10-year anniversary of doing the show, but we've been fans since 93, honestly, since the first UFC. But this is the first time we can honestly talk about a new women's featherweight champion.
Even before then. I used to watch Pancrase thinking it was pro wrestling.
Yeah. Vale Tudo.
Well, we can say that there's a new featherweight champion, but we could also say there's probably the beginning of an interim champion because the champion's already saying that she can't fight.
Well, I hope everyone taps the brakes a little. I don't know how serious a torn ligament in her hand is. That could be a 6-month injury, and if she were to come back in 6 months, I don't think that's the end of the world. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. A lot of people were already saying she's dodging Cyborg. It was just kind of brutal honesty. The flip side was a few months ago, Max Holloway grabbed the mic and said, Jose, what's up? UFC 208 in Brooklyn. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. And then when he got back, he realized, oh, man, hold on a second. My ankle's swollen. So, there's a couple versions to what can happen, what transpired as it's going down. She just fought for 25 minutes. Things weren't going her way towards the end, so she held on to win. Some will argue that it could have been a draw or even a home victory because of some late hits, some late punches after rounds. I believe it was 2 and 3. So, yeah, that fight was it was bizarre. The whole thing was bizarre. And as I started to work on the rankings for this week, I could just tell you, going back to what we said originally, them building a 145-pound division, it's bizarre. It just didn't really need to happen. I'm at number 6 right now. Because I had some computer problems, that's why I gave you guys a half-ass preview of today's show. I wasn't able to get to Twitter. Everything was lagging. I don't know if it was our home internet or what it was, or my computer was tripping. But I was at 6, and there was a lot of homework being put in from 7 to 15, plus 3 honorable mentions. I don't even know if we got all that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what we're going to debut. I seriously need to talk to the others and just see where we sit. Every division's 15 deep with 3 honorable mentions. But this one is going to be tough.
Yeah,
I don't even know if we want to present. This is the number 12 ranked heavyweight featherweight, when there's really not much out there telling us that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the whole weekend was bizarre. The fight, the fight card sucked this too strong because there was some moments there in certain fights. Like I really appreciate.
He did his job.
Yeah.
And the people that did their job were rewarded.
And then I really enjoy watching Anderson fight. There are times where I'm like, just start fighting. And then there's other times where I take a step back and say, he's setting things up, It's like one moment he's your friend. Have you ever noticed Anderson during the week will bow to you, hug you, smile, and then there's other times where he just comes in and he just wants to tower over you, glare at you, and let you know what you're about to get into. And so I go through those types of ups and downs with Anderson.
I didn't enjoy it one bit.
Not one bit?
Not even one bit.
Oh, wow. Why is that?
because as soon as the fight started, I could already tell what was going to happen, what Anderson was going to show up. And I'm happy for him because he's happy and he's having fun. But I'm not about watching a guy have fun. I want to know who's better, who's the best. And there's just times where he could have pulled the trigger, could have done a little bit more and didn't. And at the end of the fight, it seems like he's okay with that. And that's fine. But again, I'm kind of not okay with that. That's just not what I came to watch. If you tell me he signed up for another fight, I'm probably going to tune out. It's just, I mean, I'm happy for the guy. I'm happy that he's happy. He's
what about his
accomplished a lot.
explanation at the end where he said, guys, I'm old. These guys are faster and stronger. I'm hanging in there. I love performing. But, you know, at least there was something to go along with the performance, like an explanation.
No, man.
He wasn't trying to
okay,
front.
when they were in the clinch
Right.
and he was just taking uppercut after uppercut, he didn't have to. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do anything with being old. It's just this different mentality he has in the last couple of years. It's just, especially people who are putting money on fights like that. Like, I would never put money on an Anderson fight ever again. I mean, that's been going on now for a while. That I don't even want to touch those fights because you don't know what you're gonna get.
Great suggestion, by the way, to take all the underdogs. That was a blast.
Funny you bring that up. I'm gonna take it like a man, but what I will say was, it's not like I had a gun to you. Like, you went through showing everybody what they would have made in the previous card. So
Right.
I mean, you were on team underdog.
Right.
I don't know why I'm getting the scope and the.
Just because you said, why don't you do it? We're all going to be rooting for you. I didn't get
that I'll take.
I didn't get one
did
text
say
of
that.
support saying, GG, I'm with you. GG, I know you're 0-4, but fuck, man, you got balls of steel. Nothing. Just
One person said something.
Gee, the only text I got was from my bookie this morning saying, hey, when do we score up?
Somebody said something on Twitter.
Really?
Said like, hey, I feel for GG. I'm rooting for the underdogs. I can't remember who it was, but somebody did say something.
That little experiment cost me. Well, thank God. McCall and who's the other guy? Marcin somebody fell off. Who knows? So it was a 1-9 night.
There was so much.
Thank God for Anderson. The robbery, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, really.
So I think I'm down 190. I won more than that. I'm not even going to say that. That's I always criticize the ones that talk about their losses, but back it up with wins. What you didn't see was last week. So you know what? Down 190 or something like that. Anderson helped things out a little bit. It was 10 fights. 9 of them lost. They were all dogs, so there was no juice. So what's 9 times 225? 225 in losses. And then Anderson got me a $30 win, so minus 195.
Of all the underdogs that came into, his was kind of closer
I know.
to being even, so it's not like you could.
All I needed
you
was
made up a lot on that one.
Let's see. I think Lentz had a moment, right, with the guillotine.
Yeah.
All I needed was one other dog, and instead of losing,
The next Anderson Silva
so then
could have
I'd
bailed
be
you
at
out.
200 minus Anderson's 30 would be 70, and then whatever Lentz would have won. He was a big underdog, so he may have won me those 70. I only would have lost 100 just by going 2-8. So there was some money to be made. But you know what? On Saturday night, we found out that fight was announced. The return of Ilya Quinta versus Diego Sanchez, that was announced. So someone's on Buffalo, someone's on Nashville. I know Cub is headlining.
And
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think that was the best one that was announced over the
Against
weekend.
Rose Namajunas. So that's a solid fight right there. But Cub will join us to talk about that fight. And Dustin Poirier, he won at UFC 208 over Jim Miller. He'll join us as well. And Jared Brooks, who didn't get a chance to fight. He was going to fight Ian McCall, which we'll dive into that as well. Ian McCall pulled out day of, right? Yeah, because they weighed in Friday. So day of, tells me Ian McCall's sick. He's out. And so I gave him Frank Mir face as if to say, yeah, good one. I mean, you could have prepared a little bit better if you're going to fool me. And he goes, no, serious. But he was leaving. So I just sat there, and I thought, is this even worth 2 minutes? Grabbing my computer, looking it up, like, you know, what's the deal?
Because if
here?
you look it up and it's not true, I gotcha.
Yeah, and you know what I thought was, my computer was on the table. I was on the stadium seats. You walked by and said what you did. What went through my mind was that you farted near my computer, and that when I got up, because as you left, you were just very coy. As you left, I was just going to get hit by a fog of ghost gas.
The old first American
So
title move.
I just sat there and I go, is it worth it? Do I need to get up? I think the dog was on my lap. And then I said, well, if he did, he'll be out in about, the dog had just sat on my lap and I was just petting him. I figured I got 5 or 10 minutes to play with him because he looks at me sometimes and just goes, what about me? So I did look it up, and it was true, and I was gutted for Brooks, for McCall. I just can't believe how someone could be jinxed that much.
Trig taught me a new move, by the way.
Trig?
Yeah, that the whole fart thing and make somebody come.
Mm-hmm.
His move is this. He says he'll eat when he knows he's eating a bad meal, like a lot of tuna or something like that. He will tell somebody, "Do you smell popcorn?" And when they smell popcorn, everybody always, they likes popcorn, so they take a big whiff, and that's when he farts. That's the trick move. McCall, I don't know what to do, man. I mean,
he's out of the hospital. It was serious enough that he went to the hospital. I heard he's out. I heard he's good. I just don't know if the UFC is going to do business with him anymore.
This is all bad luck, though.
I mean, to his credit, it was others that pulled out in other fights. I don't think he would go through a whole camp and all that and go to the hospital.
Is he going to want to do
because of let's say he lacked courage. I don't know. I wish we could have caught up with him, but all I know is he got out of the hospital. That's it. We'll catch up with his opponent, Jared Brooks, who, he made a post. I don't know. He was very active on social media throughout the week, but the one I saw was him being disappointed that the fight was canceled. He didn't say anything bad towards Ian on the one I read, and he just said, I'm bummed because a lot of people came out to New York to support me, and I obviously won't get the fight. And that's fair, I don't know what to say. I guess the coming weeks will tell us whether this guy's still got a future or what. I think he will. I mean, I know that in most workplaces you can call out sick 5 times, 10 times, but there is a point where they say you call in sick a lot, and then you either get written up or maybe they part ways depending on what kind of a situation or contract you have with that employer. So who knows what can happen. A lot of cuts happen over the weekend. Maybe they're just looking for reasons. I don't think they will. I think it would be a big PR backlash.
If he's willing to fight, that's a division that needs bodies. It's probably one of the last divisions you want to let people go.
Who's going to sign up for it, though?
That's the thing. So they need to figure out exactly what went on with his body in the hospital. I mean, what we heard was, intestinal or something like that. But even then, they couldn't narrow it down. I would say they probably need to narrow it down to figure it out so that it doesn't happen again.
I mean, let's say you signed up to fight Ian McCall. When you start skipping rope, first day of camp, those are 8 weeks that are going to be not so much fun, that miserable. You're going to be on your diet. You're going to be hurting, ice baths, hard workouts, pushing your body to the limits. If you're not a media guy, there's going to be a lot of media, and you got to answer the same questions. It's going to suck. So who's also going to want to take that assignment is my next question. I hope he fights again, and I hope he recovers from this. But, wow, I just couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't. That's why when we did the interview during the week, we just said, Ian, how you doing? Like, I didn't know if he wanted to tackle the topic of, boy, can you believe it? I'm this far along, or if he just wanted to talk about ice cream and football and other stuff. I wanted him to do whatever he wanted to do. I just wanted to chat and see where he was. And he was pleasant, and I told him, you're going to fight. I really felt like enough hurdles had been crossed that this was just going to happen, and it fucking didn't happen again.
I felt like the roulette wheel when it hits green and someone bets it, and then somebody always goes, let's do it again. You go, no, man, there's no way it's going to happen. And it happens. And then rather than walking away, they go, let's do it again. You go, there's no way. Like, that's what this felt like.
Yeah. All right, Brooks comes on at 2:15 p.m. Eastern, 11:15 a.m. Pacific. Poirier comes on at 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 Eastern. You see the way I flip-flop that? And Cub Swanson, 2:45 p.m. Eastern, 11:45 a.m. Pacific. The first hour is wide open. We'll take some calls. I just want to get Goza's thoughts on D. Randami and Holm. Did you agree with the decision? And what did you think of the way the ref handled or didn't handle those late strikes after the bell?
I think the whole commission had a really rough night as far as judging goes, as far as those type of calls. I mean, on the first one, I thought they had every right to take a point away. But if they didn't, then for sure if it happened again, they would do it, right? None of that happened. That first punch that she took, it kind of looked like an elbow, but when they show the replay, I think it was a punch.
It was a punch.
I'd be shocked if she wasn't concussed from that.
Wobbled her.
I mean, who knows what that did to her.
Now, the ruling is the round is over when the ref interjects that it's over, not the horn. The horn alerts them. And going back 10 seconds, that clapper you hear is a warning to the corners that the round's about to end. Grab your buckets, grab the ice, grab the cut man if needed, and prep to get inside the octagon, the cage, the ring. So that's what that clapper's for. It also notifies the ref, hey, there's 10 seconds left. So you'll see the refs kind of get a little bit closer so that they can be in a position to stop the action. Now, again, when the ref interjects or pulls them apart, that's when the round is officially over. There's also another thing that we always hear, protect yourself at all times. Now, that's not GG siding with D. Randami. I'm just saying, as egregious as it was made out to be, I mean, some wanted her escorted out of the Barclays Center and shot in the head. No, it couldn't do that. Our own John Morgan said he didn't even hear the bell or the horn after round 3. I'm sure round 2 was just as loud or pretty close. But he's octagon side, so and we've heard that before where others say, I don't even hear it.
Too, right?
Yeah, it could be.
Because, I mean, okay, look. Come on. Was the Barclays Center as loud as like a Conor McGregor fight?
No.
I was there for a Conor McGregor fight at pretty much as high as you could sit. I could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
It's loud in there. I don't think it was as loud for that fight. I could
Well, I'm
be
just going
wrong.
off what John said.
Yeah,
I wasn't there.
But what I'm saying is I don't think John is also like waiting for that horn. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not buying it, man. I get it, yeah, when the ref comes through, but twice?
So you're saying she heard it and still got late shots
I think
in?
she did. Yeah, I think she did.
It looked that way. It did. But I hear you. First of all, I think everyone is
else
in
on the card
conjunction
can
with
do it, right?
Right. Everyone's in conjunction with the fact that the round was coming to a close and you had some sort of signals. So Jermaine, you're right. Come in with the warning. Maybe not the point on that one, but come in with the warning. The second one, that was pretty bad.
Second time going into the corner after the first one, if I'm Holly Holmes' corner, I'm going to say, look, that was really bad. So we don't know what this girl's thinking. Look out for it the next round because it could happen again.
If you're in Holly's corner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm in Holly's corner, I'm telling her she could do it again.
Yeah.
So when she gets caught the second time, yeah, I would be yelling at the ref, yelling at the commission, but at the same time I'd kind of be scolding Holly a little bit and saying, didn't you just see what happened in the previous round? Like, you really have to keep your hands up and make sure you're out of that round.
Then the ref in either round 4 or 5, did you see when he got in too close?
Yeah.
And you never know. I mean, we've seen fights end with 1 second left. So he was just he was that it was not his level of fight. I think that level of pressure and experience. They had others there that have called those types of fights, and so yeah, that was a hiccup on behalf of the referee for sure, and maybe the commission for not having that type of foresight to know, hey, we really want the best of the best in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, though, man? I'm telling you, this happens in all sports. Stuff goes down in all sports throughout a season, throughout title runs, playoffs, where you just have to live with the result, and hopefully we all learn from it. I know that Twitter was going crazy. Social media was going crazy. I wish it hadn't unfolded like that, but I'm telling you, in the end, I still believe when things shake out, most of the time, the athletes can still settle it. And I thought Holm put herself in that hole early on. Sucks that she did get hit after the round had technically ended, and that probably had some carryover in the other rounds. But in the end, I still think D. Randami was the better fighter. I think the stats back it up. And I'm not always a guy that runs the stats. So we just move on. We have a new champion. It's Jermaine D. Randami, who may not be able to defend anytime soon. But even further to that, we don't really know that Cyborg's coming back yet. Dana has just indicated that might be the case, but that's not officially the case. So, again, bizarre is the word I can use to describe 145 in the UFC for the women. I just don't know what's happening over there.
That's three straight for Holly, right? But in this fight, did you feel like she lost because the other girl was bigger?
Bigger? No.
No, right?
Uh-uh.
So is she going to stay or is she
hard
going to
to
go to
say.
135?
When the ref brought them together, T. Randami looked like she was maybe an inch taller. But if you looked at arms, thighs, and I think she weighed in at 143, I would say Holm was bigger but not taller.
But do you feel like
the other girl hit
145
harder
had
and also had more better striking technique for MMA?
I think that's why she lost.
Yeah.
I don't think it had anything to do with being a 145er versus a 135er.
Right.
But what I would say is if you can still make 135, do 135. Because when Cyborg comes back, I think that's where you're going to feel that power.
One more, and then the break time, and then the calls. 866-522-2846. Promise we'll get to you all. The first hour is wide open to take calls. Anderson and Brunson, did you agree with that decision?
No.
Okay, you
I
had
had
Brunson
Brunson.
winning.
Yeah.
All right. I also thought Brunson won it, but I knew rounds were close. I just sat back going, someone's going to be disappointed out of these two and know that they could have given a better effort and done more to win the fight. So it's kind of on them. They have to live with the result. I don't believe there was a robbery. And if you look, enough people in your circle, and I'm pointing to you, Mr. Everyone, Mrs. Everyone, enough people in your own circle and media that you follow also had Anderson winning. It was not a robbery. A lot of people came out saying that, and I don't believe it was. And enough people that I respect were saying, I kind of had it for Anderson Silva as well. So let go of that one. Use your fury that you have from losing your parlay or your fantasy fights or your lunchtime bet with a coworker on the fighter, not just giving the better effort. I thought more effort was there. I thought more gasoline was in each tank. And so when they're standing there next to the referee, I think they're the ones that have this uneasy feeling in their stomach, like, God damn, which way is this thing going to go?
Do you feel like Anderson got old? I don't feel like he got old.
There's times when he looks just as smooth as I remember him, and then there's other times, like you said, he's going for the plum, and instead of unloading knees, he's defending uppercuts. Now, I want to give credit to Ed Brunson on that. I thought that was a great defense. But at some point, Anderson, that could stop if you just let go. You don't have to take 10 of those.
But you see that same punch that he got caught with Weidman? He wasn't giving that punch respect. And so it's just kind of like, I don't know where he's at mentally, what he's doing. I don't know if you noticed this, but there were times where he was messing around Anderson, and Brunson was flinching every single time, right? He would just toy around like that. That's respect. That's respect because one of the greatest fighters of all time is in front of you, and he can mess you up at any second. You have to use that to your advantage.
I also believe fighters don't want to be a highlight reel. It's respect. Like
Never
you
want to
said.
be the other guy on a poster.
So have you ever noticed the ones that are sitting next to Connor when Connor starts getting going, or even Chael or whoever, they start to say, "Oh yeah, well," and if it doesn't come off and there's not some laughter, they kind of start going in their shell and just go, "Fuck you, I'm gonna kick your ass. Come November 5th, whatever," and that's it. Because I think they tried it and saw that exchange wasn't any fun. I think the same thing's happening inside these rings, these cages and octagons, where you try and match what they're doing, but then you realize that is Anderson Silva, and he can clip me at any second, and I'm just going to be out. Yeah. So I better be careful. But if you do that, you set yourself up for a disappointing decision. And then the flip side is, if you go for it, then you could get laid out. But you could also go for it and lay him out. I mean, it's not like he's never been laid out. Whatever. We're talking too much. Let's take this commercial. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. All the lines are full, so when we come back, we are going to blast through all these, starting with Proteus, my man Proteus from the Great White North. He'll lead things off. You're listening. I said that already. We'll be right back after this break.
You know that scene in Star Wars where Darth Vader tells Luke he's his father? What if I walked in right after with my voice and was like, I'm your Uncle Walter. Can I get a lift home? That'd be crazy, right? Anyway, here George and goes.
Hey, one thing I want each caller to answer is this. Regarding Anderson Silva and what he's doing now, is he basically, since maybe the Diaz fight, playing, is it like when Jordan was playing for the Bullets? It's like, we'll still take it because we're going to get the occasional, buzzer beater or dunk. We all want to see him. People are paying money. Like when do the Bullets come to town? Jordan's, So is that kind of what's happening with Anderson Silva? Is like he's so great, we just kind of want to see him, even though we know his best years were with the Bulls?
I think it's close to that, but I think everyone at the time was saying we get that Jordan's not one of the greatest of all times. And he would have his moments here and there, but I feel like if Anderson really buckled down, he could get back up to the top. Mm-hmm. Maybe not win the belt or be consistent, but I still think he could give a lot of
actually, he
people
could win the belt because he barely lost to Bisping and actually put Bisping out in their fight.
Road.
If Bisping still holds the title, I don't think that he can take out Romero nor Jacare, but he's shown us that he can possibly take out Bisping. And I'm not saying he's going to take out Bisping if they rematch. Bisping may very well win that. But at least we know that within the past year, they had a fight and it was close.
It just seems like the wrong sport to just show up to have fun.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Proteus from Ontario, Canada. What's up, Proteus?
Good morning, dudes.
Morning.
Hi.
Does everybody remember that famous scene from Tango and Cash with that song in it? Let's just all take one moment to remember that loveliness, and then we'll move on to Anderson Silva. Do you guys remember that scene, Tango and Cash?
I
don't
barely
remember
the
Tango
movie.
Cash
I did
too
watch
much.
it, though.
I'll go back and watch it. It's wonderful. So to Anderson Silva, yeah, I believe that Anderson Silva is on cruise control right now. He's just coasting. He's got a number of fights left on his contract, right, guys? He still wants all that money. So I do believe, yeah. And like you guys said, he may go right to the top again, right? He may get that fight with Bisping, which would be ridiculous.
I think unless he gets seriously, brutally beaten, he'll finish out the contract. I think he feels like this my health's in danger.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, I think that you guys are burying the lead. I mean, Go's mentioned it. When the top story coming out of the weekend is the Athletic Commission, at least for me. I think that's a very, very bad look on the commission. It really makes me miss New Jersey because we haven't seen a fight card in New Jersey. New York has been getting all the cards, right? And we'll probably continue to get all the cards. So lots of mistakes, not only with the adjudicating, reffing. We have judges reffing or judges judging their friends' fights. I mean, just lots of bad looks for New York. And guess what, guys? We've got one more card to come in Buffalo in a couple months. Do you think they can improve between now and then?
Probably not. I think they need to import some of the bigger guys.
Well,
at least for the main event.
If you look, there was good refs there. There just wasn't a good one or a good performance from that one in the main event. And if you look at the judges, no, there was Sal Diamato was there, Derek Clear was there. There was some familiar names. In fact, I'm trying to pull it up here while we have Proteus on, but I looked at it myself and said, oh, hold on a second. I recognize a lot of these names. Did they just have a bad night? Did all this come together, a perfect storm of reffing and judging and commission decisions, on this card? What was it? But I did see some experienced judges and refs there. It's just there was still mistakes happening. So I think it can get corrected by Buffalo, and I heard they're going to Long Island this year as well. But there is work to do.
Yeah, quickly, before I get out of here, because I know we've got full lines, do we need to see the co-main and the main event run back, guys, just because of how they finished and the controversy surrounding them?
I'd rather not. The only thing Holm and D. Randami running it back would do is develop more 45ers that are out there. Maybe if this fight takes 9 months to develop because of D. Randami's injury, then in the meantime you'll have others that maybe go 2-0 or 3-1 if they fight frequently, and they can start building their names in the 45 division. But other than that, I think that's the result. I even heard Holm may go back to 35. As far as Anderson's concerned, I think Brunson had his shot and he didn't win. If they do it in a few years. If Anderson's still around, great. But I just think at this point, Anderson just moves on to someone else, and so does Brunson. Thank you, Proteus, for the call. Kim in Las Vegas, you're up next. What's up, Kim?
But all I got to say about this card, very quick observations. I really don't care about the 145 division unless Cyborg fights. And, well, she ain't got her shit together. So really, I don't care about that division. Other observation, the co-main, I guess it was close. I mean, I thought Brunson won, but whatever. And the other observation I have is I would like Souza to fight Rockhold. And that's about all I got for the card because really I could have been doing something else like drinking and other shit. So, yep, that's all I got for the card.
Okay, thank you.
Day.
All right, see ya. Souza versus Rockhold.
That poor Souza's going to go through.
They were supposed to fight
matchup.
before, but I just think Souza would be smart to say, I'll just wait for the winner of Bisping and Romero at this point. That's a big payday, and I think it could all happen within 9 months or so.
However that fight goes, I don't see it being in rematch territory either.
Yeah, there was some risk involved in the Bosch fight, but yeah, there's just no need. I think he could sit back and just get better and be ready in time for the biggest fight ever. Brandon from Louisville, you're up next, and thank you, Kim, for the
We're
call.
all standing around naked, and that's when I realized not only am I the only white guy there, that there's no woman.
Hey, man, you're on the
real
air.
weird. Anyway, oh, shit, I'm sorry. Danny was asking me horror stories about Craigslist. Yeah, anyway, guys, so this weekend, Anderson Silva, I love Anderson Silva. He's still my all-time favorite fighter. But he's not the Anderson Silva old, and I need to realize that. I don't want him going up against young guys trying to make their name off of him like happened to BJ Penn. And I don't need him going against guys that are in the title picture because I just don't think he's going to win against those guys. So I came up with 6 fighters that I'd still like to see Anderson fight against, and I'll see what y'all think about them.
Okay.
A rematch versus Bisping if Bisping loses.
Okay.
I don't want to see it for a title fight. A rematch versus Hendo if they can talk Hendo coming out for one more payday.
I'm not on board with that one. I don't know about you, George.
Okay.
I like the first one, though. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Rematch versus Vitor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have heat.
Shogun.
Oh, I really don't think he'll
think they'll
do it,
do
but
it,
just
but,
to entertain
man.
it, I guess if that meant Shogun drops to 85, I wouldn't do it just because they don't dislike each other, and that's the only reason I'd want to see it. I wouldn't do Henderson because I don't think it accomplishes anything. And I think Henderson, if there is one bullet in the chamber, he feels like he emptied it out. But if somebody goes, nah, there's one in the chamber still, I think the Bisping fight makes sense if Bisping's champ or not champ because they're 1-1. You see what I'm saying? But I think Hendo would only do it if Bisping was still champ.
Same reason for Shogun
As that goes.
Our buddy in Florida, I think.
Yeah, that actually was going to be a fight at one point, and it didn't work out. So yeah, I'm on board with that one too.
Yeah, I said I just don't know what they do with him. He's not going to make a run, and I don't want him knocking off guys like Brunson anymore that, you know, he could take a crazy decision from.
Thank you for the call, sir. Good stuff from Brandon in Louisville. Gerald from L.A. What's up, Gerald?
Yeah, hi, guys. I want to talk about Cub Swanson, but Anderson Silva.
Gerald, can you take us off speaker?
Yeah.
Put him down for a sec.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll go back to Gerald.
All right. David in Florida. What's up, David?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, man. How about you?
I'm calling because I was wondering if you guys knew of any other UFC 209 fights because the card's looking kind of thin and it's not that, like, just a couple of weeks away. It only has, it has 3 really good fights, but other than that, it's pretty thin. So I didn't know if you guys knew of anything else coming to that card.
Do you have the MMAjunkie app on your
Yeah.
tab? It'll tell you everything that's there. But since we have you on the line, I'll hit it for you. You obviously know that it's Thompson versus Woodley, Hunt versus Overeem, and Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson.
That's the meat and potatoes.
Right. So that
Yeah, too many,
for people to pay, though.
Too many fights, pay-per-views, and things like that.
They did. They had 2016. They closed really, really strong. They stacked the cards, and that has a carryover effect because these fighters, they need to decompress. They need to get better and healthier, and then others became contract situations. Like, wouldn't it be nice to have Bader somewhere on a card, Lorenz Larkin somewhere on a card? I'm hearing now Misha Serkinov may no longer be with the UFC, so those are some names that are falling off, and I don't know that they're just developing enough names to replace those names. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. All right, David, thanks for the call, man. Check out that Rumors tab on MMA Junkie's mobile phones and on your tablets. However, if you do have a Samsung, just be careful because those things explode, and I hate for it to explode while you're
have one of like those shields that they have in buffets.
Right.
Put it in front of that.
Exactly. Francisco, what's going on, brother? How are you doing from New York?
Hey, what's up, brother? I was actually at the fight for this fight with Holly and the enemy. Actually, I was ringside for the fight. Despite the fact that the main, randomly hit her after the bell, the second and third round, I still thought that she won because she landed a more damaging shot.
Right.
I see here, as far as the strike numbers are concerned, they're kind of almost even. So you could see a draw in there if they would have took a point from her, but I still thought she'd won. I thought Holly was a bit short with her strikes, And as far as Silva was concerned, at first, because I like Silva, I kind of saw him winning the fight, but he was playing in there. You see a guy who has the skill, the ability, but you don't see the hunger, the drive to want to finish his opponents like he did in the past. He seems just content on just going to 3 rounds. You don't see any urgency in there. And I can see why Brunson 31. I mean, if you look at the numbers, he outstriked him by maybe 60 more. He was the submission of the night against Tim Boach. I thought the fight of the night was Dustin Poirier and Miller. That was a good scrap. Is concerned, maybe another bantamweight fight, or not featherweight fight, but another bantamweight. I've been through.
A lot of people feel the same way, Francisco. Thank you very much for calling. You summed it up perfectly. It was this guy could have done that. This girl could have done this. The promotion could have done that. I don't know, man. I just think that a lot of people laid an egg. Fighters hate it when we criticize them because we're not in there. But I think when you've seen enough fights, whether you're a fan or media, you have the right to do it, especially the ones that paid the ticket to go. What we saw was just blah. I mean, did you see consistent great moments out of really any fighter other than maybe Souza? I guess Poirier and Miller left it all out there. I'll give them that. Like Glover's fight, Glover's a nice guy, and yeah, he was controlling with wrestling and jiu-jitsu and going back and forth, but it looked like there was just enough to not get stood up, but not enough to expose himself to get swept or get out of a dominant position. And then he said it himself afterwards, that he has to get better if he wants to compete with the holy trinity of Jones, Cormier, and Johnson. And he didn't show it. So if he doesn't feel like he should show it, then why should anyone else get excited about the win?
I like to put myself in their shoes, and I think I mentioned this to you, but I put myself in Glover's shoes, and I just thought, all right, I'm probably going to win this fight. I took a couple mean shots. This guy looks like he could probably hurt me. So I just looked at it as, well, I know I'm not going to pass up AJ, and I'm probably not going to pass up John Jones. So even if I starch this guy, I don't think it's going to do anything for me. So cruise control.
So he was up 28-0. Let's just run the clock and get out of here.
Yeah.
Could be. All right, you're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We're going to take this last break, and then when we come back, we'll clean up these lines that are jam-packed. And if we don't get you in towards the end of this first hour, the first 15 minutes are open of the second hour before we get to our guests. So don't worry. I promise you, we'll get to all of you. Scott from Utah, Showtime from Tennessee, Marco and Waco. We'll get to you. I promise. We'll be right back after this break.
They are the Wright brothers of mixed martial arts. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Victoria's playing along, isn't she?
What do you think Danny did to make her laugh at the beginning of that song?
Probably took off his shirt or something. All right, so we're going to continue here with the calls, get as many of you as we can here before the end of the first hour. Second hour, we'll keep hustling through, see your reaction, hear your reaction to UFC 208 that took place this past weekend at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Jermaine de Randamie is your new women's featherweight champion in the UFC. She defeated Holly Holm, Anderson Silva, Ronaldo Souza, Glover Teixeira, and Dustin Poirier were winners on the main card. So let's continue here. I think up next is Scott in Utah. What's up, Scott?
Hey, what's up, boys?
What's up, man?
Hey, dude, man, Holly Holm is one of my favorite fighters, but, man, she frustrates the shit out of me. It seems like she can't put it all together. I mean, I don't know how many exchanges she had the other night, but how she came up short so many times. It seems that she misses by a couple inches or so on these exchanges. I don't know if it's just Muay Thai fighters give her a hard time or she can't control the distance, but being a boxer, you think she would know how to get that distance right?
Yeah, I think if she had a little bit more speed, and then I don't know how much she expended on trying to get the takedowns. Most of them failed.
I think she
but
believed
she
that
did,
was going to get her down.
I think she also wore down de Randamie. But even if she got her down, what kind of a ground game does she have? Who knows? De Randamie has been exposed there before. There was a lot of media that actually gave Holm the fight. One could say she was that close to being a champ and got it all right. I don't know. But you're right, Scott. It seems like the commitment to the strikes is not always there on all of her strikes. Also, it seems like she's repetitious with certain combos, and I can't understand why she can't. And her camp probably understands it, but in the Valentina Shevchenko fight, she kept getting hit by a counter right hook because Valentina's a lefty. And in this fight, de Randamie, now she was dodging a 1-2 coming from Holly and answering with her own big overhand right. And I kept seeing the same thing over and over. So there needs to be, I guess, a little bit of a change of the offensive attack coming from Holly.
I just think some tweaks, right? Because if you look at the 3 losses, it's not like she was completely blown out in any of them.
Right.
She was in all of those fights.
Pretty much. And the Misha fight, she was on her way to holding on the title. She may have even told Dana, sorry, I can't be one of the participants in the knee featherweight division. I'm the 35 champ, if she had held on to beat Nunes and all them. But still, she was that close from just not even having this problem at all and being in another division.
Yeah. Hey, that Brunson fight, I had Brunson winning that fight, but I could see where they gave it to Silva. But that judge that went 30-27 Silva, what the fuck was he thinking? They gave the third round to Silva on that one, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think most people gave the round. I think most people gave the third round to Silva for sure.
30-27 though.
He was on his back the whole time, wasn't he?
Well, I'm just telling you, most of the judges are. It was Crosby, Cleary, and Eric Colon. They all gave Silva the third round. The second round went 2 of them to Anderson, 1 of them to Brunson, and the first round, 1 of them to Brunson, 2 of them to Silva. So in the judges' eyes, let me see. It looks like he may have been drawing dead just going into the third, but yeah, it looked like he really didn't have a chance to take him at all unless he won the third round. All right, Scott, thanks for the call, man. Again, I just don't think they had enough evidence there, tangible evidence, to overwhelmingly score any of those close rounds for Brunson. And the same would go for Silva. So at that point, who the fuck's going to remember all the moments of a 5-minute round? As highly trained as some of these judges are, I still think it's impossible to make that decision on the fly if you're not feeding them enough, if you're not overwhelming the other guy. Let's go to Marco in Waco. What's up, Marco?
From Waco, ¿qué pasa, Ratos? I want to officially stone the curse of Ian McCall. This dude is so snake beating, man. Next time he's going to actually make it to the octagon, a lion is going to strike this guy, man. What he has to do, man? He got to sacrifice a goat, a bull, and a whole virgins. Because it's 5 times now? 5 times in a row that he missed the fight. One result, another, man. He's unbelievable, man. The MMA goes on one night.
I don't want any piece of that curse, so I just want the curse to know that stun gun came from Marco. Not for me. I just hit the button. That's my job.
Okay, guys. I'm not going to talk about the card this weekend because it was meh. But I went into the Fight Pass library and I watched UFC 42, the one where Joe Rogan was the play-by-play and Phil Baroni was the commentator. And you got to see the evolution of what we see now compared to back then, man. But it was still entertaining. Well, you guys
Still got to talk about that.
Okay, we'll see it. Yeah, a trio of Anik, Rogan, and Cormier, which I enjoyed, but I know it's a work in progress if they're going to continue there. Just each guy knowing the role and getting familiar with each other. All right, it's the end of the first hour. We're going to do a quick sports update and a commercial, and we'll come back and we'll clean up this bank of calls. But if you want to join in, we're going to blast through some, and I think we'll have enough time before we get to our first guest, Jared Brooks, followed by Dustin Poirier, and then Cub Swanson. Stay close. All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We're recapping UFC 208. We'll also be talking to a few guests associated with that card. Jared Brooks, who didn't get a chance to fight, unfortunately, because Ian McCall fell ill on the day of the fight. So we'll see how he's feeling towards Mr. McCall and just the whole situation in general, which just sucked, man, for everyone. We really wanted to see that fight. We called Brooks' fight in Japan. So we know what he was capable of. We knew McCall would have his hands full. And, of course, for McCall, he's just, he's one of the best flyweights in the world. He should be out there fighting. And these guys do these camps. They just need to fight. It's good for their own good. And at the same time, that's the only way you get paid in this sport, man.
Wouldn't you imagine that whatever it is he did have probably came from the weight cut?
I don't know, because I don't know many details of it, honestly.
I mean, but based on what you know.
Yeah,
because it would be kind of odd for him just to get sick out of the blue right on the day of. So I have to imagine that maybe the weight cut did something to him.
If you look, because I didn't know that it was a gastrointestinal problem, but if you looked at a couple of those embeddeds, I mean, they got drenched in snow. Danny had to spend the night, one of those nights there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was just a severe cold, or I think Sam All Jam, one of our listeners, one of our friends, was saying that he had the worst cold ever.
Yeah,
just this past week or the last 2 weeks. So who knows what's floating out there in the East Coast. Derek Douglas, Crosby, Eric Colon were your judges, by the way, for Holm and D. Randami. Had 2 spots just on the main card alone. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to be the white knight for the New York Commission. It's just that errors were made, and I think we can kind of put the wrong people in the wrong places for some of their decisions. But if you tell me Levine, McDonald, Mergliata are going to call a bulk of 208, I'd be okay with that. And then some of these other judges' names are very well respected too. Here we go. Back to the phone lines. I had to restart VX, so it all looks like they came in at the same time. I think Showtime's been waiting the longest. Let's go with him. What's up, Showtime in Tennessee?
What's going on, fellas?
What's up, brother?
Man, Jacare, man, he just looks like he's vicious, man. And you just look at it, man. The guy is a fucking monster, man.
He's fast. He was faster than Boch. He only got hit by one shot. I remember that. Boch caught him. And I think Jacare said, oh, that's right. He's got power. He just mowed jiu-jitsu. Standout.
What did he do? He took it straight to the ground. Not straight to the ground, but he got it to the ground where he excels, and he finished the fight.
Yeah.
What more can you ask from a guy?
Right. He did his job.
You know what, man? It's just so amazing with just watching the BJJ guys that are at the level like Jacare, then watching the Stumbo guys that are at that level that, like Khabib and all that, man. It's like they just get you on the ground and just fucking maul you, man. I guess it kind of depends on, I think, what body type or what your strengths and weaknesses is, which I think would be the best if they're rolling around on the ground. But it's just amazing. It's like the guys don't even stand a chance when they hit the ground with them guys, man.
Yeah, no.
Now, what's next for him? Does he wait for the winner of Romero and Bisping, which is rumored for UFC 2? Oh boy, what is it? 211 in Dallas on May 13th, or so does he wait for the winner of that, or take on another fight, get paid, and take out someone else who won't be a top 5 guy unless it is Rockhold, which again presents danger in my opinion.
I don't think he can sit there and wait. I think he'll take another fight. I think it'll be hard for him just to sit there and wait, especially with him fighting and him not taking any damage. I think he'll jump back in.
One good thing about fighting Rockhold is he could even the score, maybe build for a big payday. But I just think it's also a risk. You'd be fighting a guy you did lose to once, and it all goes away. That whole title shot. So it's risky. I think I deal with Rockhold down the way. I'm this close to a title shot. I'll just wait. Hopefully Romero and Bisping goes down. If Romero and Bisping experiences some sort of a hiccup, then like a postponement, then I'd say give me a fight and put me on the same card as them. But for the most part, I think I just wait for my title shot. I think there's just too much money to be made when you fight for a world title, and possibly become a world champion, and then you can deal with whoever's next after that. But when you're that close, do it. All right, next up, we're going with, so let's try Gerald in L.A. again. What's up, Gerald?
Hey, guys. Just talking about the middleweight picture real quick. I think Rockhold in the past has been asking for Silva, too. So, Silva's got a lot of mileage at this point. He's 41, 42. He had that serious leg injury, which is hard to come back from. I don't think, he's a little bit gun-shy. He hasn't had a knockout in a while. So, it's still a big name. It still sells tickets. I think Jacare is going to wait for the winner of Romero Bisping. It's most likely going to be Romero the winner. And then Jacare said yesterday that he's looking for a rematch with Romero. So I think it will be Romero, Jacare, and then the winner will fight Rockhold in the middleweight picture. And then I have another question for you guys if you want to comment on that.
Wait. You think it'll be Romero and Jacare because you think Romero will beat Bisping? I missed part of that.
Yeah, I think Romero is going to beat
I
Bisping.
see.
I think Bisping in the past was looking for some paydays.
Yeah.
You get Dan Anderson, who wasn't even worthy of a title shot. I mean, it's not in boxing. You earn your ranking, and in MMA,
right?
They sell tickets, so they wanted it to go overseas, give Bisping a free pass to sell some tickets, give a 12th ranked guy a title shot, which he didn't deserve. I don't blame these other top contenders for being upset that they work hard to get in this picture, like Souza and Romero. Romero and Souza, that was a top 2-3 contender fight, as you would call it. It was a split decision. And Bisping, he had a great game plan against Rockhold. He knew Rockhold was open for that left hook because he drops his hands. He got, and you got to give him full credit for that. But now, Bisping's looking for the big paydays. He needs to fight a contender that deserves it. Romero deserves it. Then the winner of that fight should fight Jacare. I think Jacare will win in the rematch and then fight Rockhold next.
Okay.
So, it's good to see the middleweights fighting each other. You got Weidman and Musa fighting. That's two top contenders that aren't they're taking some risks. They're both really top guys who deserve it. So you got to look at the matchups and see which guys are willing and most deserving to get the next shot at the title. So love for you guys to comment on that. Then I'd like to mention something about Cub Swanson, one of your guests coming up.
All right. Well, go ahead and mention Cub Swanson. What do you want to say there?
Well, you got Aldo and Holloway coming up. Finally they put that fight together and getting rid of these interim titles, which is really, taking a lot of the credence from an actual world title. So you got that fight matchup. What's the risk reward by Cub fighting this guy whose record is 13-12? I mean, this guy wins 50% of his bouts. Then he came, Swanson come off a great fight with Choi, which is, I think, the fight of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think Swanson should move up, fight Mendez or Lamas, and get in for a title shot. I think he's due for a title shot now. So what's the risk reward from taking on this guy who's in 12?
He can't fight Mendez because Mendez is on suspension for 2 years. He's still got about a year to go. And then as far as Lamas, does Lamas already have a booking? Did I see that?
I thought I saw something the other day, but I don't know if it's come out.
And so Lamas may not want to fight Swanson because they fought back in 2011. So they could run it back. It was a great fight, by the way. And thank you for the call, Gerald. But I think Cub's problem is, if you look at the USA Today Sports MMAjunkie rankings, the five guys ahead of them, Aldo, Holloway, Edgar, Mendez, and Lamas, all beat him. So getting their interest in Swanson will be a challenge. Now, Lamas may do it because it was close. Swanson was having some good moments there. Mendez can't. Edgar wants a shot, and the other two are fighting each other. So I think at this point, Swanson's getting a payday. He does get to be a main event, which a lot of fighters love being the main event. And maybe there's some sort of a fallout out of anything that's happening up above that puts him in a better position. The one guy he hasn't fought is McGregor. It's just that McGregor left. Mm-hmm. So you just have to have certain cards to play. As far as what he said of a middleweight division, I kind of agreed with everything he was saying. There are some risks. I think Musasi taking on a guy coming off 2 losses in Weidman is risky because he has a lot of buzz. He could kind of be hanging back. And then the one name he forgot to mention was Robert Whittaker. I also think that guy's making some noise at middleweight. So it's exciting times. I think Bisping got his exciting fight out of the way. It was respect because he had done so much for the UFC and the sport. So that's why he got Hendo in Manchester. But now, yes, it is time to fight some contenders. And whether he wins or not, I don't know. The fight has to happen. But going in, he'll be an underdog to both Romero and Jacare, whoever it might be. Let's try and blast through another couple here because we're running out of time before we get to Jared Brooks. Waiting the longest is Eugene in L.A. What's up, Eugene?
Hey, guys, I definitely feel like I got hustled by UFC because the card sucked, but they put Anderson Silva on it, and I'm going to buy anything with Anderson Silva. He could be literally fighting an apple, and I will still buy that pay-per-view for $60. So I think that was their plan, is they know there's a lot of people that are vulnerable to Anderson Silva like me, so that's what they did. On another note, the commentating, it almost felt like I was watching one of the UFC on Foxes with John Anik on it. I don't know. I guess I'm just still not used to it. I was actually a fan of Mike Goldberg and Joe Rogan. I thought they were a good duo. So, I don't know. It kind of hurt to hear the three-man crew. I like Daniel Cormier. I just don't know about John Anik meeting it.
Okay, that's fair. I personally like Anik, but I hear what you're saying. It was different, the dynamic between Anik and Rogan. I would have wanted to see just Anik and Rogan first without Cormier, but I've also been the guy that says I love three-man booths too. So I think what you felt was probably an unfamiliarity with the voices and the broadcast call, but also the action was, oh, God. Did you feel like there was just times
bad.
Where you were like watching the other TV more than the fights?
No matter what, they weren't going to hit a home run with this broadcast. You know, they have to figure out what their dynamic's going to be. I thought Anik kind of got lost a little bit. There were times where they went 2 minutes long without him even saying anything. And then there were times where Cormier and Rogan would make analysis, and then it was like the other guy felt the need to confirm what that guy was saying.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of strange. I think they just need to find their rhythm, but I think when they do, it has the potential to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to bring Anik back in more because he's really good at what he does, and he kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Yep. I love L.A. coming in strong with Gerald and Eugene. Thanks for the call,
Gerald
Eugene.
kind of sounded like Anik.
Of course.
All right, see you, buddy. All right, we're going to do one more. They're getting Brooks on the line now. Mike from Jersey. What's up, Mike?
Not too much. What's going on?
What's up, bud?
I just wanted to go back to the middleweights. So you got Bisping and Romero matched up, and you got Musasi and Weidman matched up. I don't think Jacare can wait because Bisping is going to be fighting in May,
right?
And he could get a 6-month suspension. He might not fight till November.
Mm-hmm.
He could turn around quick, but I just don't see it. So I feel like Jacare's got to fight. And you got Silva, who is on the same timeline as him, and Rockhold. And then after that, you have a little bit of a drop-off to Whitaker, and then after that, huge drop-off.
All right. I'll try and put it like this for you.
Yeah.
So the name that's being suggested is Rockhold. Jacare, let's say he goes, get me Rockhold on that same card in May or the month later in June. He'll be fighting a guy who he's lost to before. He'll also be fighting a guy who the only thing he'll get paid out of that is, we'll just call it 75 and 75. Does that sound about right for Jacare?
Sure.
Maybe 100 or 100, right? So there's the possibility he may lose. There's the possibility that, and then he'll be getting paid that. If he just waits, and let's say what you're saying is correct, there is some sort of an injury, I think he could, at that point, in May, decide, give me a fight, because it looks like the winner, Bisping or Romero, is out for an extended period of time, so now I will take a fight. And he would only have to wait. May's only, 3 months away. But let's say someone comes out of there quick and is ready to do this thing sometime in September. Then from February to September won't be that horrific. I mean, that's 6-7 months. And at that point, if he's fighting, he's now fighting for, again, 75 and 75 or 100 and 100. But if he wins, his next fight will be worth at least $1 million, in my opinion, because he'll get what he's supposed to get, but he'll get that pay-per-view bonus. Mm-hmm. So now, let's say he goes, I want Rockhold. You got me once, now I want you. Now he's fighting Rockhold, but he's fighting him with more money at stake. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I think that's what they have to juggle, Others will say, well, do you remember when Kenny Florian waited 9 months and we fought BJ Penn? He said he didn't feel right. Those 9 months killed him. Yes, there are arguments made for that. I just
go
don't
the other
think,
way. Look at the Korean Zombie.
Right. I just think the money, his road has been so long that at this point he's got the card to play. He's got his hand. The dealer's already asked him, you want to hit? He said, no, I'm good. Now it's just a matter of waiting for the rest of the table to play out so they can reveal their cards.
So if he waits, what do they do at Rockhold? Give him Silva?
I don't know, but that ain't Jacare's problem. I mean, maybe Whitaker or someone else, but it ain't Jacare's problem. This is me if I'm part of Team Jacare, what I would advise. I'm not. I'd love to see Jacare. If you told me, hey, I'm Mike from New Jersey, and Rockhold's my best friend, and he just told me he's fighting Jacare in May, I'd go like, fucking hey, I'm in. But I'm just saying from the Jacare standpoint of what I think he should do after everything he's done and all these delays and stuff that's happening. So, listen, we got to move on. Mike from Jersey, thank you very much for the call. You always deliver. You're starting to become one of my favorite callers. That's for damn sure. All right, now, this past weekend, we should have had the debut of the best strawweight in the world as he moved up to fight in the flyweight division of the UFC against Ian McCall. They weighed in. They stared at each other one last time, and something went down on Saturday where Ian McCall was not able to fight. That left Jared Brooks in the position of just a guy that couldn't make his debut. And like he put out in social media, he was disappointed beyond words. And a lot of people had traveled to see him fight. So what a terrible day for him. Joining us now on the hotline is Jared Brooks. Hello, Jared. How are you?
Hey, what's up, guys? Pleasure to be on.
Man, it's our pleasure as well. It's too bad we're not talking about a fight result. We wanted to see you fight. I don't know who would have won. This is, the sport's crazy. You're fighting a great guy, Ian McCall. So we really didn't know what was going to happen. But what we do know is it didn't happen. First, take us through your thoughts as you heard when the fight wasn't going to go down. Who broke the news to you, and how long did it take you to get over that, or are you even over it?
Yeah, I was. I'm pretty much over it, but at the same time, I would really like to fight Ian because it's the perfect fight for me to start my UFC career. But I was sleeping in my bed, getting some rest before the fight, and my manager called me. I ignored his call the first time because I was so tired, and then he called me again. I think it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then he tells me, he's just like, hey, man, I got some bad news. I was like, oh, man, what did I do? And he was just like, no, nothing like that. He said, McCall's out of the fight. And, I was like, dude, you're joking. You have to be kidding me right now. And he was just like, no, I wouldn't kid with you like this. And we went on for like another minute and a half of of saying, are you joking? And he's just like, no, man, I'm for real. So I went into the bathroom. I punched some shit, and I was really mad. I really wanted to show myself at a venue of that magnitude. But yeah, man, this is my dream and this is my life. And I think Ian realized that he's not fighting a 115-pounder at that point. I mean, I cut a lot of weight down to 115, and I'm a natural 125-pounder also. And I'm not depleted. The weight cut doesn't affect me, but I hope Ian gets better and finds out what's wrong with him and his weight cut, and fights me either in Houston or I would love to fight him in Buffalo.
Did you mean to say Dallas, May 13th, the pay-per-view? Because they just got back from Houston.
Oh, my bad. Yeah,
okay.
Dallas.
All right.
Wait, or it's in Missouri. My bad.
Kansas City. That's right. There is something in Kansas City. All right, Jared Brooks on the line here, and you kind of answered the question I had was, would you be willing to take that assignment if they floated it to you? Because as much as we say McCall, he's jinxed or he's this, he's that, it's been others that have also caused him not to fight. In this case, it was him that caused the fight not to happen. We were wondering, geez, would anyone even take that call? But it sounds like you would.
I would take the call in 3 days' notice. I am literally, my weight is on point. I'll take the call in 3 days' notice against anybody in the UFC, and you can quote that. You can put it to Dana. You can put it to all the matchmakers. I'm ready to fight right now, and I'm always ready. Half of these flyweights, they deplete themselves to get down to 125, and they're not fight ready. And I think that I think I'm the new wave of the flyweight division. I mean, I know I didn't get to show myself, and people are still like, yeah, and he's strawweight, he's small, or whatever like that. But I'm coming to bring heat, and I'm faster and stronger than all these guys, man.
Jared, if another fight were to come up before Ian, would you take that fight, or is it kind of all about fighting Ian?
Give me anybody at this point. I'm about making money, and I'm about putting a show on for the fans and putting a show on and showing what the UFC is about. Because I'm not putting down UFC 208 or anything like that. But I think that if Ian and I fought, I think we would have got half of the bonuses.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
Did you have any interaction with Ian? Were you able to talk to him at all or anything? And if not, what would you have told him?
Yeah. I didn't talk to him after all that stuff happened. I saw Parilla, one of his coaches, on the bus, and he was just like, "Hey man, sorry." I was like, "Hey man, I understand. It's all right. Just tell him to get better, and hopefully we can sort this out. If he doesn't like, I would love the fight because it would put us in the main card. Because I mean, in the week and a half that I had to get ready for Ian, I sold the fight better than half of the fights on UFC 208. And I mean, it was me, either talking trash, putting memes, just making sure that people know who I am, and the resurgence of Ian McCall also.
That is funny when you think about it. Jared Brooks' name has been out there, and he hasn't even fought yet.
I know. That was
for
great.
The UFC, and people are dying to see him fight.
Yeah, I love that stare down. Definitely, you had a lot of people hyped up, man.
I don't think anybody in that building was as hyped up as I was. I mean, before any fight, I'm an energy vampire. If I see energy, I'm going to take it all in, and I'm going to suck it all in until the fight. And I didn't even get to walk out. Just imagine how much energy I have walking out.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, look, we just wanted to check in with you. It sounds like you're in pretty good spirits considering what happened. A lot of people were anxious to see your debut in the UFC, and I'm sure it'll happen soon. And thanks for giving us some time here, two times here in the past 72 hours. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you guys so much, and it's an honor to be on your show, and hopefully that I can be on sometime soon, and hopefully you guys can get me in the winner's circle also.
Awesome, brother. You know it. All right, thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you too, George. Bye.
See ya. Bye. All right, that's Jared Brooks. Handled it about as good as you could, honestly.
Yeah.
So if it happens with McCall, great. If not, someone else, great. But we need to see this guy fight soon. Follow him on Twitter at @the_monkeygod. We got to run to this break here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. When we come back, we'll be talking to Dustin Poirier, a winner at UFC 208.
Inside my bones, it goes
Blah, blah, blah. Here are those two dummies, George and Goes.
All right, we're back. Reminding everyone that's watching on Facebook, you can also catch us on youtube.com/MMA Junkie video. And those on YouTube, you can watch us on facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. Let's not forget, we are broadcast with replays on SiriusXM, and that's 7 Eastern, Monday through 7 a.m. Eastern, Tuesday through Friday, 6 a.m. on Saturday. And then also, there's replays at 8 p.m. Eastern on the same day of the show, which is Monday through Friday, along with that being our official launch time on Sirius On Demand. Sirius On Demand is really solid because you can catch us commercial-free, along with many of the other shows you hear not only on SiriusXM Rush 93, but across all of SiriusXM, including one of my favorites, and that's the NFL channel. I know the games might be over, but damn, all that free agent talk goes is legit. You ever catch that channel?
Yeah. I'm actually looking at the big screen right now, and they're talking about stuff.
Faux show. All right, Danny and Victoria, can you update us on the Diamond? Is he ready to go?
Yes, he's there.
Cool. All right. Dustin Poirier got a win at UFC 208 over Jim Miller. I kind of overheard him, and I think it was repeated on the broadcast. Some time off maybe coming his way. So let's catch up with him about the fight and then just what his future holds here in 2017. Hello, Dustin. How you doing?
Good, man. What's up?
Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. Not much, man. We're just excited that you went out there and did your thing and got a bonus. We've covered you and Jim for a long time, and I thought you guys went out there and really, really laid it out for the fans on what was otherwise kind of a crappy night of fights.
Yeah, man. It was a hell of a fight. We had a blast. I enjoyed every minute of it. I love fights like that.
Yeah. New hairdo as well? I saw that.
You like that? That's nice, right?
Yeah, you brought it.
It looks slick.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it looked like a whole different dude. But anyway, so, we'll talk about the fight in just a second. But I did want to talk, I guess, about the one thing that stood out to me was you mentioned to your coach, Mike Brown, you want some time off. What do you pin that on? Just the damage from this fight or like many years of fighting, or is there other stuff going on that you can share?
It was just a long training camp, and I knew my leg was busted up pretty bad, and it was just the heat of the moment. When I sat down and took a deep breath after the fight, I said, you know what, man, I need some time off. I think I'm going to take some time off. It was just the heat of the moment. But, I got a new daughter at home, and I've been working really hard. Came up short my fight before this one, and I got right back in the gym, and I've been grinding ever since. And I got my hand raised. It was a second to exhale, I guess you could say, and reflect and say, I just need to sit back and enjoy this one right now and then take the next step.
Okay. So now that you've had a chance to decompress, there won't be an extended layoff. There'll be enough time to rest and get better and do your family time.
Exactly. Just like always. Same thing. I'm not going to rush into a fight here in a month, but I'm going to take a normal time. I'll probably be out for 3 months or so, working, getting better, making some adjustments in my game, healing up my leg. Actually, the UFC just called me, and they want me to go back in and get my leg checked out again. It's still really swollen. I'm having trouble walking, so I want to make sure nothing's wrong. We did some x-rays fight night, and nothing's broken, but they think they might be like compartment syndrome or some shit where the swellings could be damaging some muscles because my leg's really swollen. So I think I need to get an MRI done and see what's going on with the muscles. The bones are fine. But besides that, man, I feel good, and I'll be right back in the gym and getting better as soon as I can.
Compartment syndrome. Holy shit. Okay. You feel okay, though. What would you say your on 1 to 10 your degree of pain is?
Fight night, man, I got to say it was probably an 8 or a 9. Immediately after the fight, I couldn't put any pressure at all on it. The next day was pretty bad as well, probably an 8. I had to use crutches. I couldn't put any weight on it. Today I'm doing a little bit better. I'm still using crutches, but I can put more weight on my leg, but I can't push off of my toes still. Right now, pain's probably a 6, but it's a constant pain. It doesn't go away. So hopefully every day it gets a little bit better, and the swelling's still pretty bad, But like I said, I need to go back to the doctor. I just got off the phone with the UFC. I'm going to get it checked out one more time. Hopefully they can check for soft tissue damage because the bones are fine.
Man,
gotcha.
A Dustin Poirier 6 is like a Georgian Ghost 12, right?
Yeah.
So he's in pain.
Exactly. All right, go ahead, Goose.
Dustin, do you know exactly when the injury occurred?
I think it was an accumulation. He started landing good calf kicks. The thing with calf kicks are, I kickbox with southpaws all the time, so a normal thigh, like a normal leg kick is no problem to check. Of course, they do damage when they land, but being southpaw and southpaw, that matchup doesn't happen too often, especially when a guy's throwing low kicks at the calf. I spar with southpaws, but not too many of them are throwing calf kicks, and it's just something I wasn't really that prepared for. I was kind of thinking the opposite. I thought I was going to do it to him. I thought he wouldn't be prepared for it, and I think I landed a few good ones on him. But I definitely believe he got the better of me in that for sure. A couple of times he landed in the second round, but in the third round I planted as if you would check a normal leg kick, and all my weight was on my calf and my shin, and he really ripped into it, and a couple hurt me pretty good, man.
Look, man, fighters are some of the toughest people on the planet, but at some point the body just won't respond. Is there like a number you could put on it where if you felt like maybe he kicked you 2 more times in that spot, it would have been curtains, or do you think you could have fought through anything?
Nah, I could have fought through anything, man. There's no curtains with that type of stuff for me. My body has to actually shut down, and I can't say how many more that would have took, so I couldn't actually stand up physically. But shoulda, woulda, coulda, I won the fight.
George was mentioned the level of the fights that night. Your fight is the one fight that everybody points to and says, thank God for these guys. These guys saved the card. I got to imagine when you go in the back, you probably feel that you've been in a great fight. You could tell by the reaction from the crowd. But at some point, do the bonuses start to creep in your head, and are you sitting in the back watching the other fights going, I think I got this?
They took me on a freaking stretcher as soon as I got to and I kind of, the pressure I felt was so uncomfortable and so much pressure in my shin. I thought it might have been cracked as well. So I was sitting in the hospital updating my Twitter and Instagram, trying to see how the fights were going, trying to see how fans were reacting, hoping that we had it, But from everything I was hearing, it seemed like we had it. And then sure enough, we got it. And Dana gave me a call last night and just to tell me he wanted to thank me and Jim Miller personally for the fight. So, it feels good.
That's awesome.
You know what's crazy about social media, George, is now, like, we actually got to ride in the ambulance with them for a little bit because they were doing, like, a Instagram Live, or I think it was Eves Edwards or somebody was doing it. So we were actually in the ambulance for a while.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Eve had the Instagram Live rolling, man. I gotta give a huge shout out to Eve. He came out for 3 weeks down here in Florida. He came from LA and stayed with me and helped me finish out the last 3 weeks of camp. And he came to Brooklyn with me, man. It's awesome to have that guy around.
Dustin Poirier, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Follow him on Twitter at Dustin Poirier. So Dustin, for one, I know very little about compartment syndrome, but I've read about it, and I just get concerned with blood clots. So yeah, hopefully it's on your agenda today.
Well, that's what they're worried about, man.
What's that?
In the hospital they wanted me to stay. I said that's what they were worried about in the hospital. They wanted me to stay overnight, and I'm like, man, I think I'll be all right. I want to get out of here. I got an early flight. They wanted me to switch my flights and stuff, but man, I've just felt like I got kicked in the leg a bunch. If the bone's not broken, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
They're worried about maybe muscle damage with the swelling and stuff like that. I actually discharged myself from the hospital. They wanted me to stay longer, but we'll see, man. It's still really swollen, but I can put weight on it now, and I feel like it's getting a little bit better every day. So, like I said, we'll see, man.
I'm 47 years old, and I'm going to tell you something, and you're on the verge of 42, right?
Hell no.
Aren't you 38? I'm not saying it's tomorrow. I'm just saying you're getting close to your 40s. You get to that mark, these little things, there's just – and I'm not even a father, but there's – like, I'm worried about Dustin. Like, if he was my kid, just like, hey, man, just get this thing looked at. You got insurance. You got the UFC with your, handling your back. But as you get older, you just – oh, fuck. Some of them tackle the 40s, and it's no problem, and others become like hypochondriacs where it's like, what's that pain? What's this? What's that? Why am I not feeling how I used to be?
I got buddies like Eve Edwards and Mike Brown who are both 40 and 41. Eve has 80 fights. Mike Brown probably has 40 fights. These guys are still going hard and still freaking wake up in the morning with a pep in their step. So, I got these guys around me, and I think I'll be all right.
All right, brother. Hey, who do you want next? Last question.
Man, I want Nate Diaz. How about that?
There you go.
How about that? I mean, is he going to sit around and wait for Conor for a couple more years and waste the prime of his life, the prime of his career? Or is he going to throw some hands? That's what I want to know.
Is this a respectful call-out, or do we have a problem?
Of course, every call-out. I mean, I respect all these guys, man. I know sometimes in the past I've got heated with guys. That's just in the moment.
Right.
I respect anybody who makes that walk out to the octagon and fights for a living and fights for their family and puts it all on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of these guys is a warrior and has nothing but respect for me, man.
I was just asking because, you never know when two people run into each other at the club or somewhere, they bump in. Hey, you got a problem? Well, yeah, I'll tell you what my problem is when I'm on the MMA Junkie radio show and I call you out. So that's why I was wondering if there was a problem.
Nah. Well, first of all, you ain't gonna catch me at the club, man.
No,
I don't go out like that. But nah. But I respect Nate, but he's in my way. He's in the top 10. He's in my way to a title shot. I want him. I want Michael Chiesa. I want anybody in the top 10 who's gonna take the damn fight. That's who I want.
That works for me. And one day when Goz and I hit it big,
Miller, I was trying to get these guys.
One day when Goz and I hit it big and you're fighting in Vegas, we're going to have access to a club that wants to pay you a lot of money to host your after party, and then watch how I walk up to you and go, you're going to the club now, aren't you?
I'll probably take him to Sam's Club.
I'll be there.
I don't like the clubs either.
You heard him? I'll be there. He said, I'll take that. All right, brother.
I'll be there with a bottle with a sparkler in it, yeah.
Thanks for making time for us. Go enjoy the fruits of your labor, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. I'm going to go ice my leg.
All right, we'll see you. That's Dustin Poirier, one of the best, man, out there. Follow him on Twitter at Dustin Poirier. We're going to take this break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Cub Swanson. Recently announced he'll be fighting Artem Lobov. And I'll get you all the details because my computer's working again after this break.
I just wanna take you up in the sky. Let's set this party on fire.
King Kong has a lot of shit on them. Like a lot, especially Goz. Here, Gorgeous George and Goz.
Thank you to Jared Brooks and Dustin Poirier for their time. Up next will be Cub Swanson. Tomorrow, a little preview. Joseph Benavidez will be in our studio co-hosting for the entire show. We'll also be joined by the UFC's new host, Todd Grisham. So let's go to Cub Swanson, who's on the hotline, and we'll talk about his recently announced bout versus Artem Lobov at UFC 108. Swanson versus Lobov. That's right. These guys are headlining on April 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee. Sup, Cub? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for asking. Would you like to know how Goes is doing?
Problem. Yeah, well, what's up, Goes?
Hi, Cub. I heard that you're doing great.
Yeah, doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad.
All right. Well, now that we established that we're all doing great, Cub, great to see. I love it when you fight frequently. And, you just had a win a few months ago, right back on the horse against Artem Lobov. I think I remember the first time you headlined, you really enjoyed being featured in a headliner bout. I think I was asking, as far as pay-per-views and Big Fox or just your own card, and you really felt like it was an accomplishment to headline your own card. Is that the same feeling here? You're taking on Artem Lobov in the headliner bout at UFC Fight Night 108?
Oh, definitely. It's a good chance to, get all the spotlight on me, and all I have to do is just focus on getting in the best shape possible, trying to be the best version of myself, and then shining when the time is right.
One of our listeners asked, he wants to see you fight guys ahead of you. Why Artem Lobov, who's not, ranked ahead of you or anything like that? And of course, Artem, he sports a 12-1 record, but he is coming off a good win, and he is a popular fighter. So is there a reasoning behind why you took the fight at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, it was the only fight offered to me. So I told him that I wanted to fight, between April and June. Mm-hmm. And so this is the fight they came up with. And then I told him I'd like to fight again later in, at the end of the year. So I kind of gave him a game plan for me. And at the time, the reason I don't fight people ahead of me is because I've already fought them. Mm-hmm. I would like those fights, but they're not very quick on giving rematches unless, it's a for sure number one contender, or, there's tons of reasons. I think that there's not a lot of interest in the guys ahead of me fighting for a title. So there's no real sense on doing a number one contender fight like that. And, Artem had been talking crap, trying to score himself a fight, and they expressed interest in it. And, that's where the sport is nowadays. Somebody talks crap and the public gives any kind of interest, and then they're open to making that fight. So I get paid the same regardless. So Artem it is.
Aside from the winner of Holloway and Aldo, because I know you would love to rematch one of them, and if it was for a world title, it'd be great. The one I really want to see again is you and Lamas. I enjoyed that one in Anaheim. That one had a lot of action. Mm-hmm. So, folks, if you're listening, jump on the Fight Pass and check it out. That's the one I really want to see. But the other question I wanted to ask you was, from a lot of fighters that are kind of moving back up, first of all, are your weight cuts as easy? And second of all, have you ever thought about moving up? Only because a lot of fighters that have said, "It fucking feels so good. I eat what I want. There's no mental stress. I can eat, I'm so happy in camp, this, that, whatever." And a lot of people are backing it up with results.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about it over the years, and I thought about if I ever did want to change weight classes. I had considered moving down at one point, and then I think moving up is the only way to go. Just stylistically, I tend to be a faster, than my opponents with good conditioning and durable. So those things, moving up is better for me than moving down. So, I mean, it's something that I see in the future. I just don't see myself doing it right now because I'm still, I'm right up in the mix. So I definitely think, later in the future, if I'm not getting exactly what I want at this weight class and need to change, then I would definitely love to switch weight classes and be able to eat what I want. But I know for myself, I feel the best when I'm a little bit lighter and feeling good. So when I'm close to weight at 145 is when I'm feeling the best version of myself.
Cub, how long did it take you to recover and feel 100% again after that battle with Choi?
I was fine within a week.
Jesus.
With everything except for my ankle. Both of my ankles were pretty messed up just from, I think I hit his knee a couple times or maybe his elbow. But yeah, my ankles were pretty jacked up, and that's kind of an old injury as well. I grew up playing soccer, so my ankles are always, quick to get hyperextended or whatever, and I'm throwing kicks just with everything I've got. But if you really watch the fight, I know people don't really see it that way. They just remember a war. But if you really watch the fight, I didn't get hit that many times. I feel like power shots were probably like 6-1, or something like that. Like, I feel like he took a lot more damage than I did. So I recovered pretty quick.
You guys ever watch the Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner show when you were little?
Yeah.
I would rather be the coyote getting thrown off a cliff, and then the Roadrunner pushes the boulder over, and that flattens whatever was left of me, than to go what those guys went through. That's why I'm media/fan. And to me, it just looks like, how in the fuck did this guy recover in a week? Because it looked like two semis just ran into each other. But anyway.
You know what I remember from that night? So we watched that fight with a bunch of troops on a military base, Cub, and it was at a bowling alley.
Yeah.
And what I remember about that fight...
Nobody was bowling.
Yeah, how many times? So the bowling alley has this rhythm to it, right? You hear the ball go and the pins and all that. It just stopped for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Nobody was bowling. You look over, people kept going, hey, it's on you, because nobody could take their eyes off that fight. Is that your signature fight, Cub? Is that the one 25 years from now when you run into people who don't know what you did for a living and you tell them, look up Cub Swanson? Is that the fight you tell them to look up?
I think so. I've had a lot of good ones, but I think that one, just the right time in my career, the right opponent. I think so far that's it. But I am still chasing a better fight than that. That's why I'm fighting. So I can appreciate that one, and it's definitely one I'm always going to look back on. But I'd like to do better.
What's it like being a gym owner now? How much of that time is taken being the gym owner, and how much time do you have to train?
Well, I have 2 gyms now. I've had True MMA, which I train a lot of guys out here in Palm Springs, Indio area, and I've been doing that for like 8 years, and very get to show up, teaching and more.
Some time for us as always. I hope you have a safe camp, and we'll talk to you soon. Let us know if you're in Vegas anytime soon. We'd love to have you co-host an episode too.
Okay, yeah, I'll be out there for the March 4th fight in the MMA Awards, so maybe I'll catch up with you guys.
Órale. All right, take care.
All right, later, guys.
Later. He giggled because he's got a little Mexican in him. He knows what that means. That means we're down. All right. Josh from Ontario. Sorry, bud. We are going to make it a quick one with you, but at least we did make 90 seconds for you. What's up, man?
Just a couple things on my mind. The 3-man booth, I think it's a good idea, just as I enjoy it when you guys have a co-host in there. It gives that third perspective, but I agree with Goes. I felt like Anik was lost a little bit. I feel like Rogan dominated that a little bit. And then another thing, Holloway, Aldo in Brazil. Holloway's a badass for taking that fight down in Brazil. He had pretty much a home field advantage here in Canada, and it's going to be the exact opposite down there in Brazil, but all the power to him. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you, Josh. Yeah, that fight did get announced. I guess it's June 4th, and it's UFC 212, Holloway versus Aldo. So Aldo almost taking a year off and getting a fight in Brazil. He catches a lot of those breaks. Fights in Brazil, time off. Kind of worked out for him.
And Holloway, that fight could have been on the moon. He wouldn't care, man. That guy just
fight
loves
anywhere.
to fight.
Yeah, I cannot wait. That if somebody calls tomorrow and the first question is, what fight are you looking forward to the most? It might be that one. That one's going to be nuts. All right, so Victoria and Danny, great job as always. Good to have you back on the saddle. Victoria, Goes, you were pretty damn good as well.
Thanks.
I got to give you your props. I took it to another level. I was fantastic, so I have to give myself props and pat myself on the back. Thank you to Cub Swanson. Shout out to myself for lining that up. Poirier as well. Another shout out to myself there. Jared Brooks, yet a third shout out to myself for lining that up. Tomorrow, Benavidez in studio and Todd Grisham, the newest host for the UFC. He'll join us. So join us at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. We are out of here. Be champions.
Down the drain.